Saturday, June 6, 08:51 a.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. Just finished another week here, and going to go over the Dow Jones Industrial Average Stock Index. It hit an all-time new high. So we'll look at the index and the 30 companies inside the index to see which ones are performing equal or better, as well as which ones are the losers. Some history. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is one of the oldest stock indexes. It didn't originally start off with 30 companies. So on the left is the watch list of the 30 companies in alphabetical order, the current 30 companies. This is a 5-year chart. Each candle represents the week. The bottom left was the low, 2022. And the top right is the all-time high now. This week, we closed red and closed closer to the bottom of the weekly trading range. We also closed back inside the range of the prior week. Potential reversal. Nothing wrong with taking profits at highs. If you're bullish, buy at the bottom. So now we know the situation here on the Dow Jones 30 index. All-time high, closed red for the week, back inside the prior candle. Let's go look at the alphabetical order of those 30 companies. Apple also made all-time high, closed red, but it went below and closed below the prior candle. So it's more bearish bias than the index. This is how we're going to identify leadership. Amgen, yeah, way below the highs. It's not leadership. But it did do a reverse higher high and close above the prior week. Amazon, wow. See this orange vertical line? Amazon was added to this stock index back then. It is also on the NASDAQ 100 as well as the S&P 500. But this index, it got added to back then. And since then, it's been higher. But this week, huge bearish red candle, lower high, lower low. The prior high was several weeks ago. So it's been selling off earlier. American Express. We haven't taken out the highs of last year yet. Yeah, it's a loser. It's underperforming the index. Boeing, below the highs of 2021 and all these other years. Yeah, big time. Not leadership. Caterpillar. Look at that new high for the year. Big trading range. They close above the close of the prior week, but still below these highs. Again, situation is that the Dow 30 is a very diversified index. Me, I personally choose to invest. When I say invest for the long term, I choose solid indexes. I don't invest in those individual companies. There's so many reasons why. Too much to explain here. Salesforce, way below the highs of 2024, 2026. But I will explain one thing. The Dow 30 gets adjusted periodically where the losers are taken off and better performing ones in finances are improved. When I say finances, I mean their books, their balance sheets, their income is better. Professionals manage the Dow 30. So again, Salesforce, way below the highs. Cisco, new high, outstanding, but it formed a bearish pin bar. Chevron coming off those highs after that big sell-off. And look at this smaller trading range up here in a big barcoding pattern there. Disney, Loser, way below the highs of all these prior years. Yeah. So we see, wow, below the highs of 2021. And for the week, lower high, lower low. And Goldman Sachs, all-time new high now. Again, forming a bearish pin bar up here. So the banks, some of them are doing well. Home Depot. And I think Goldman Sachs also is one of the lead underwriters in the IPO for SpaceX. Now, Home Depot, loser, way below the highs of these prior years. Yep. And for the week, red, lower high, lower low. So you see so many of these companies, which are different sectors. There's 11 sectors in the S&P 500. They are underperforming the index. Honeywell, huge rate range. Wow. Huge sell-off past week. IBM took out the highs of last year. Outstanding. It finally took out the highs of last year, making it all-time high now. What a big turnaround, IBM. Took long enough. And then huge sell-off for the week, too. Johnson & Johnson. Nice building consolidation here with some strong green candles. IBM, well, underperforming Goldman Sachs, but closed strong green candle. Coca-Cola Company, nope. Still trending down off the highs. McDonald's, near the lows of the year. Actually, made a new low for the year. 3M, yep, close to the lows of the year. Merck, below the highs of 2024. Not good. And Microsoft, yeah, way below the highs of 2025. That's very disappointing. And for this week, huge trading range, extremely bearish. Nike. Again, red candle, lower high, lower low, huge sell-off. Very disappointing. Again, you'd be better off investing if you're bullish. You'd be better off investing in the stock index, bullish, instead of buying Nike. Again, Nike might eventually be taken off the index. If it's taken off the index, what that means is the institutions that own Nike to try to mirror the stock index, they have a mandate to sell their Nike, which would bring the price lower. So what I'm saying here is when companies get removed from these major stock indexes, those companies lose liquidity, less volume, and the prices decline. So if you're out there buying individual companies as an investment, if they're not making all-time new highs and in a good stock index, there's less institution investors buying those to have those prices continue going higher. When they do go higher, it's often pump and dump. Might be pump and dump for a few hours, a few weeks, a few months. I have spoken. NVIDIA. Big red candle. Big wick on the top. Selling off. Procter Gamble. Wow, way below the highs of 2024. Disappointing. Sherwin-Williams. Again, orange vertical line. That's when it was added to the Dow 30. So it's below the highs 2024, 2025. Yep. I was still not a happy camper when this was added to the index. But again, I don't manage the company that manages the Dow 30. And they have a mandate how they select companies. So you saw Amazon was a better choice than Sherwin-Williams. But again, the index is diversified. That's a good thing. And look what we did. New low for the year. Travelers, another financial. Lower high, lower low. Big green candle, closed back inside the prior range. Big consolidation here. Still struggling up here, these massive sell-offs up here. And United Health. Yeah, loser, way below the highs of 2024. In fact, I made a new high for the year. Big candle. Got a long way to catch up to the prior highs. But it has helped the index. Again, as it's trending up, it's helping the index. Versus Nike is hurting the index. And Visa, another financial below the high of 2025. Verizon, wow, still shocked. It's still part of the Dow 30. AT&T used to be, and that was removed. So look at Verizon, way below the highs of those prior years. And another retail, Walmart. Lower high, lower low, getting close to the lows of this year. So that's the current situation, looking at the 30 companies, comparing them with the Dow 30. And I shared some good insight in my thought of how to select investments, the methodology I apply. Dollar cost average, investing in winners. Thank you as always, spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.